Alright guys, welcome back. I hope everybody's having a great day as always. We are here at my favorite range, Delmarva Clay and Shooting Range. It's raining. That's glorious, as you can tell. So we're going to be shooting from 25 feet on steel, and I might dare to venture 15 feet roughly in the rain. So let's get to this Sig P365 X Macro and see how it shoots, first impressions, and if this is going to be my concealed carry in the future. So let's check it out and see how it goes. So we're going to be shooting self-defense rounds, and this is going to be a 24 grain. And we're wearing gloves because this P365 X Macro is extremely hot after you shoot it a couple hundred rounds. So here's a 124 grain. Still shoots pretty flat. Shoots really good. Aside for the primer drags, it shoots really good. Guys, we are back from Delmarva Clay and Shooting Range, and if you've been on this channel for a while, you notice my primary place that I shoot. Absolutely one of my favorite places. Extremely hot, very humid that day, and yes, I look like a hot mess. That being said, let's take a closer look into the P365 X Macro. Let's see if this integrated comp actually works. I'm giving my first impressions. Will I be concealed carrying this, and do I have any concerns? If you compare this to a standard P365, in my opinion, there's a big difference between how flat this gun shoots. They did a hell of a job on this design, on this comp. If you guys would like to see a full breakdown of this firearm, I'll put a link down here when I did the unboxing. So we dive more into this in that review. But the design itself, I was very, very shocked of how well this gun shot with the comp. Having said that, this is a 9mm. There's not going to be a lot of kickback, but traditionally when you have a pistol that's very light, and the barrel is less than 4 inches, there's going to be a little more muzzle rise, as expected, than something else like the CZ Shadow 2. This is going to be the compact. So with this, it's a lot heavier, though it's kind of similar in size. Maybe not really. But being that it's heavier, it's not going to have as much muzzle rise. So they did a really good job with that. I was very, very shocked of how well it shot with the comp. Trigger, it felt pretty good, but to be honest with you, you know, after shooting numerous firearms and owning numerous firearms, I prefer not to have the flat base trigger. It's just me. Even when I had the Sig M18 X, the P320 variant of that, it was the same situation, right? So the X series of the M18 came with the same style of trigger. I'm just not a huge fan. Does it work? Yeah. There's no grittiness. It is a pretty smooth by the time you hit the wall, and there's not much travel after you hit the wall, which is pretty good. The trigger is pretty good in that aspect. But for me personally, nice audible feedback, and there's your wall. Not a whole lot of take up. It's just not a design that I prefer. As far as the sights, I gotta hand it to Sig. These tritium sights, especially in that green, at least for my eyes, picks it up extremely well with the blacked out rear. These are tritium in the rear as well, but they are blacked out, so at nighttime they will glow. Hats off to them as far as their sights. I only put, like I said before, roughly about 200 rounds, as we saw in the footage, through this gun, maybe a little bit more. So, if I was going to carry this, I would have to, for my testing, what I like to do is at least 1,000 rounds before I carry the gun. And obviously, using my left hand manipulation and my right hand and different scenarios that I would train in before I decide to carry something. However, I am disappointed with the primer drags, being that I was an owner of the original and I had that problem back then, and Sig still has not fixed it. This seems to be an ongoing thing with Sig, where their quality assurance, if I'm being blunt, it just sucks. There's just no other way around it. After all these years, I had the Sig M400. That gun was an AR-15 type platform. It ran flawless. Then I had a Sig MPX 16-inch carbine, and I got maybe 4 or 5 rounds to it, and that gun never shot again. They had to replace the barrel, brand new. Now, and then I had some other firearms as well that had some issues. Every maker, every brand has their problems, without a shadow of a doubt. I do understand that they take a small allotment out of what they're producing. Maybe they will take 10% out of what's being produced, and they will do testing on that 10%. And obviously, they can't test everything that's coming off the production floor. I'm judging this by the original P365 that I had many years ago. I wasn't confident then with the primer drags, and I'm not confident now, because back then that led to some internal problems and some internal parts that started breaking. I'm not risking that with this. So for some of you, it may not be a big deal. The primer drags might not be a big deal whatsoever, and that might be a risk that you're willing to take. That is completely up to you. And granted, some of the primer drags weren't as bad as others, but I'm not willing to risk the chance as the previous iterations of the P365 where the internals started having problems. I'm not dealing with that with something that I'm going to conceal carry. So, having said that, that is my conclusion so far. The gun does shoot very well. The comp does work very well. The overall design, as far as how much you can carry, is absolutely amazing. But I am going to stick with the tried and true Glock 45 that I've been carrying for many, many, many years. Never had a jam. I don't have primer drags with this. Understanding that every firearm is different, and there are plenty of firearms out there that also have primer drags. It's not just Sig. But I'm not having them with this gun, and I've never had a problem with this gun. Does it feel good in the hand? Nope. Does the trigger feel good? Nope. But I shoot it very well, and it's extremely dependable. In the rotation as well is going to be the CZ Shadow 2 compact. And the only downfall about this, and as expected, is heavier. Is that a big deal? Absolutely not. But you will notice it if you're carrying for 8, 9, 10 hours or however. You will notice the weight difference. But this is an amazing platform as well. So in rotation currently are these two right here. This will not be in rotation for the reasons I just discussed. And if you're curious to know, this is going to be the CZ Tactical Sport 2 in green, discontinued. One of the best CZ platforms I've ever shot in my life. Single action, 1.8 pound trigger. This gun's just a dream, right? And as always, all firearms are cleared, but that trigger. Anyway, there's a review on this on the channel if you want to check it out. So guys, thanks for tagging along. I hope you guys enjoyed the upload. Let me know what your comments are. Are you carrying the P365 X Macro? Have you had any problems as far as the primer drags getting worse? Or any internal problems or anything else? I do remember they had problems with the surface starting to rust. I haven't had it that long, so I can't tell you if I'm having that problem or not. And I know that the customer service on that was, as expected, unfortunately, not too good whatsoever from what I read. Not shocked, actually. And people started having their guns rusting at a very, very early state, which should not happen. I mean, the wear on this is already starting to happen, and this gun's brand new. So, guys, that is my first impressions. There are some positive aspects. It's up to you if you're going to decide to carry this gun. You probably are carrying it already, some of you. And maybe you're not aware of the primer drags, and maybe they're not a big deal to you at all. But for me, being the past history of the P365 as a recap, it did lead to other problems, and I'm just not comfortable with that. Putting everything else aside that Sig is dealing with, talking solely on this, I'm not comfortable with that. So those are my first impressions. Guys, like, share, subscribe. As always, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you at the next upload.